Hello, this is Contover. This is the current buzz. Today we have Maria Santos. She's an immigration lawyer, and that's why she's here, and I want to get it going. So let's get it going. She's also on the school committee in Chelmsford, and I just want to mention that. But I want to talk about immigration. The more I dig up information on immigration, the more I go into the rabbit hole of immigration, more or less. And it's really interesting because when I go to Europe, people ask me questions about coming to the United States. And, you know, how can they come? How can they get a visa? How can they become a resident and so forth? So the first thing I want to ask you, how much does it cost to, if you're a permanent resident, is that what they call it now? Probably after to become American citizen, to go through the process, and how long does the process go? That's just the beginning.
All right, so Dean, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem.
And I am going to say thank you to your mom.
Oh.
She is a special lady who believes deeply in her roots. You just showed me. This is her naturalization certificate.
No, that's my grandmother.
Your
That's her mother's. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the roots are there. So I'm saying hello to her and a big thank you. Immigration is...
This is a naturalization paper. You can put it up to the light and you can see.
I have one of these too, Dean, because I was naturalized when I was 16 years old. My parents became citizens and I became a citizen too.
Once you're naturalized, you get this.
You get this.
It's called a passport.
Yes.
And a U.S. passport. And what does a U.S. passport mean throughout the world?
Oh, it's a very privileged piece of paper, let me tell you. But this right here, many people believe that when you're an immigrant, you're a citizen. And this is not true, okay? To get to this point, to become a naturalized citizen, is quite a process. And for many people, it takes many years before they can actually apply to become a citizen of the United States.
Okay.
So in the typical route,
right?
Okay, typical means I came in, I am a person over the age of 18, I have a green card for 5 years,
Right.
And then I apply for naturalization. I fill out a form, and 400, I pay a handy dandy fee of $725.
Wow, $725.
And it's going up, I am very sure.
Okay.
$725.
I mean, where can a person after 5 years being in this country have expendable income to spend on for a maybe?
Some will not, Dean, and in fact, I've had situations where credit unions and banks have set up programs to fund little loans to fund naturalization processes.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Some credit unions that will do that.
Is there any foundation or anything like that might help?
There are some, but I don't know.
Maybe there are people out there listening to us now might want to help people.
For funding the fee itself, I have not seen it, but there are foundations. For example, in the Portuguese-speaking communities, which I know a lot about, MAPS is one of them where they help you to prepare for the civics test and so on. So the person applies, the person pays a fee, fills out that multi-numbered page form.
This is the form. It's called a Form N-400, and a lot of things in immigration goes by I-55-4 or
form numbers.
Form numbers. You have to know your form numbers first.
The I-55 is actually the number for the green card.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. But this is the form. I didn't want to get into it, but let's run it down.
Okay.
This is a form. It says you have to be a lawful permanent resident of the United States for at least 5 years, which is understandable. Then a lawful permanent resident of at least 3 years if you're married. Right?
Yes, married to a U.S. citizen. And you are still married to that U.S. citizen.
And still, right? Because there's a lot of people, let's talk about the truth, allegedly get married to become citizens, and then they don't live together. And you have to prove you live together.
There's a lot of fraud in that area.
Yeah.
If I take on a case, I meet the individual, speak with them about how they met each other, all of those things.
Yeah,
It's very
that's important,
Very
right.
important.
Right.
But those 3 years would be the person held a green card, because most of them are conditional for 2 years. Then they have to remove the condition, showing that they had a good faith marriage.
Oh,
And then once they've held a green card status, including the conditional,
Okay.
for 3 full years, they can apply for naturalization.
So you're telling me it's a temporary for 2 years, then immigration checks to see if you're together.
Yes. Living a good faith marriage.
Look, in other words, your bills and so forth, they look at that.
Another
right?
form number, 751.
Then banking, et cetera, that you have mutual bank accounts, that type
Yes,
of thing.
yes.
Anything else that I missed?
Oh, many things.
Many things.
We send tax returns.
Oh, tax returns, okay.
Then
Yeah.
you're in debt together. You know, you've got car loans, you've bought a house, you have a baby, all of
Okay.
these different things.
And your name is on the birth certificate.
Your name is on the birth certificate.
That's another
You have
thing.
to prove good faith marriage.
Right.
And then, again, only 3 years versus 5 years for
Okay.
naturalization.
Then it says applying for basis if you qualify as military service. I think after
There
1
are
year in the
exceptions.
military.
There are
yeah,
exceptions
what
for
I read.
military, and many have been written in as a result of Iraq and Afghanistan service, which is great. So I think what you're going to talk about on that form is the number of questions. You have to be a person of good moral character.
Right.
It's the only time you're going to get to a process where moral turpitude becomes an issue. All right?
Moral turpitude means if you have to answer yes or no on these questions, and you have to answer correctly, because if you don't answer correctly, they could use it against you, and they have.
And more than that, let's say that you committed some crime.
Right.
Okay? And
Here in the United States or anywhere?
anywhere in the world,
Okay.
you've committed some
And there's a
crime.
record of it.
They are going to once again run your biometrics, check again to make sure that you have not committed a crime that's not allowed. And for example, if you've been a drug dealer and you've served some time and so on, you've got a felony conviction. They're going to look at the intent of the crime. They're going to look at whether it's the kind of crime that is considered to be one of moral turpitude. If it is going to be very difficult to get that piece of naturalization right here, this little certificate.
Right.
Okay?
Another one that says also, which I highlighted, instructions before you decide whether you would like to legally change your name. You could change your name on this immigration form from Maria Santos to Maria whoever, because a judge oversees the signing of this.
Yeah, my
so
complete
it's legal.
name at birth is Maria Lourdes André dos Santos. Okay?
All right.
My name in the United States is Maria Lourdes Santos.
Legally,
The L.
yeah.
That's it.
Whatever your name is on the birth certificate, your birth certificate, that's your legal name. Just
That
an
is correct.
aside.
Yep.
Let's not forget that. There's a couple of questions. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but
Yes.
I highlighted some questions I'm trying to get. Okay, here we go. Have you ever been involved in genocide, torture, killing or trying to kill someone,
Yeah.
badly hurting or trying to hurt a person or on purpose, forcing or trying to force a person for sexual contact or relationship? That's called rape, right? Not letting someone practice his or her religion. I mean, these are things that you have to say
They go to
yes
the
or no.
Constitution. They go to the Constitution, and the genocide and all originally were put in there because of World War II and
Right.
many of those crimes, and
Right.
there were many people who were applying for naturalization. But since then, there have been many other world conflicts where this has come into be an issue as well.
Right.
There are many Supreme Court cases around it. So yeah, don't lie. The most important thing is don't lie.
Yeah, because it'll come back to bite you.
Yes, it will.
And you may not get your naturalization paper.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about military units, paramilitary units, militias, vigilante units.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 50% of the people watching probably can't pass this criteria. Well, the other one was which I knew was, have you been habitual drunkard? Habitual drunkard. You got to answer yes or no, and if you answer the wrong, you could be more or less kicked out of the country, or can you stay as a permanent resident?
Well, it really depends, and you have to be very careful what you decide to do. Let's say that you are a green card holder, and while you've been a green card holder, which means you're an immigrant, a
Right.
legal immigrant,
Right.
and you now have held it for 5 years, but at that time, you were convicted of driving under the influence of alcohol, all right? It's going to depend on the final disposition in that case.
So you have to fight it. You should fight it.
If you contact me and you tell me, I've got this going on, I want to be naturalized, I say to you, you're going to have to be very, very careful what you end up with as a conviction, quote unquote. Because what's a conviction for immigration and what's a conviction under criminal law in your state may not be exactly one and the same. So you have to be really careful. If the crime required that you're going to serve time for at least 1 full year, and a conviction includes probation in the definition of immigration conviction. So there's all kinds of things to think about. And if you have convictions in your, you need to consult with an attorney before you file this form. And the reason you do is your biometrics are going to be taken again, and you could be in a position where they reopen your green card case. So you have to be very careful.
I see. Another one, prostitution, or procuring anyone for prostitution. That's a big one.
Prostitution, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can't become an American citizen if you are a registered prostitute in some countries.
That's correct. And in prostitution, that question is asked of everyone. It doesn't matter if you're 84 or you're 10 years old, 15, 16, and you're swearing the oath, you're going to be asked that question.
Because in some countries, you're a registered prostitute.
That's right.
And you have to be very careful in regards to who you're marrying.
That is correct.
Okay. Have been married to someone else. In other words, adultery. That's another big one, right? Helped anyone to enter or try to enter the United States illegally, right?
Right. Well, there's a lot of people who that is true for. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
They smuggle them across the border in Mexico.
that's correct. Smugglers.
Yeah. Gambling illegal, receive income for illegal gambling. There are a lot of people like that, or were a lot of people. Failed to support your dependents to pay alimony. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
It's a
I
crime.
mean, there's a lot of people who don't pay alimony in this country,
Right.
and you can't become a citizen if you
Right.
don't pay your alimony.
If you're going to apply for citizenship and you call me and you say, I want you to represent, I say the first thing you're going to do is go to uscis.gov, look on the forms, look and read through N-400.
Good for you.
And you can translate that in multiple languages in the online system. And it's very important that you understand what you're filling out and that you be 100% truthful in that form, okay? Because some people get themselves in true trouble by answering no where it should have been a yes. And so I tell everyone.
In other words, you can't lie.
You can't.
You can't lie in this N-400.
You really cannot. You will get yourself into deeper and deeper problems.
Yeah, more or less.
It is.
Because they'll monitor that. And then if you lie once, you may be lying again.
This is a true privilege, and it's a privilege that you don't want to not have access to at some point in your life. It changed
This is a
me
certificate.
forever.
This is a certificate of naturalization.
Yeah.
People go and swear allegiance to America. They disavow their own countries, but even people who say, in my country, no, this is your country now. That's what I tell them.
We do not accept we don't acknowledge dual citizenship.
But there is dual citizenship.
But some countries do.
Yeah, we don't allegedly, but
Yes.
we do. And this is what it's all about, having an American passport. Believe me, when I show American passport wherever I am, they just look at the picture and they just stamp the passport, move on.
Yes. we
no
are
problem.
We're lucky.
We're very lucky. It's not doesn't happen to a lot of people.
Right.
There's the permanent resident cards at I-51, 551, right? I have to talk in
5551.
terminology. Yeah,
Me and form numbers too.
Yeah.
I brought my list of form fees just in case you need it.
Yeah, okay. Permanent resident card, it expires after 10 years, right?
All right. So.
So once it expires, what happens?
There's law behind this. All right.
Okay.
You are a permanent resident,
Right.
even if that little card is not in your hand. That's your status.
Right.
Okay. But the card is evidence of it. And it's a 10-year period. And 6 months before that 10-year expiration, and you can only do it 6 months before or within the 6-month period.
Oh, okay. Well,
You
see,
apply
I didn't know.
You apply to get another one.
All right.
You pay a fee. You file another form, the I-90, and you pay that fee, and it's in process. And sometimes now it's taking well over a year
Because COVID-19.
to even just get another one.
What I don't understand, let's talk about, we don't have very much time. This can go on forever. Afghanistan, people went back to Afghanistan with the permanent resident card. What's that all about? If I was a permanent resident, I would stay in this country and not go to Afghanistan so I could get a naturalization form.
I know.
And I'm not getting that. And then you have to be in the United States for 30 months, from what I read, to apply for
In person,
In
physically
person.
present.
physically present for naturalization. So I'm not getting that at all, in that we have to sacrifice our troops for permanent residence. I don't get that at all.
Okay.
Who don't care, but
So
in my opinion.
why would people have returned?
Right.
So I've volunteered some of my time, and then
Right.
I've been doing some of the humanitarian parole applications.
Right.
I'm only saying that so that you realize I've seen some of the situations
Right.
and why people may have returned. So when you look at a family, a typical family from Afghanistan, you're not talking about mom and dad and one child. You may be talking about mom and dad and 4 to 6. Sometimes I've had a family that was 8 children. All right? So these are large families
Right.
with very young people in their lives, not older, young. And what might have happened is that the father, usually the male, got permanent residence through the special immigrant visa program or some other programs
Right.
that had been ongoing for some time.
Right.
May have come to the United States through a relative petition. Somebody, his brother or his sister or somebody had filed a long time ago, 14 years ago,
Right.
for them, okay? Because it takes a long time for brother and sister. Now, he came, but to bring the other 5 or 6 members of the family is a humongous expense. It is just the flights,
Right.
in addition, all the filing fees, all the application processes and everything, you're talking about thousands.
Right.
This is not money easily available to these families and so
Right.
on. So there may have been split families, and the parent had returned. Kabul fell very, very quickly. The anticipated amount of time that it took for that big city to fall to the Taliban was a very short duration.
That's correct. And no intelligence system in the world knew that would fall as quick as it fell.
Exactly. And because of that, there were people who had returned for some reason, to visit the wife again, to see the
Family,
children, whatever it was,
Grandparents.
whatever.
Yep.
And their return meant they were stuck there and they had to get out. Now, then you had mixed families, because you may have had a person with a green card, others in process of getting that green card to come and join the parent in the United States. Those people are in a different status. And so now that we're filing these humanitarian paroles to try to get them out of there and join the relative who could come to the United States. So some that were kind of trapped in a way there because of the way that the system works. And it's not an easy system.
No, it's definitely not. I mean,
Right.
looking at the paperwork that you have to file, that you have to go, that you have to fight and go to court and so forth. I mean, it goes on and on. One thing looking up, I looked up refugee travel document for asylees and refugees if they go out of the country, and that's only a 2-year
Right.
window for
Right.
that.
If they're going to travel, they need to return.
See, that's what I don't get. I mean, I'm not getting why permanent residents are going back to the, let's say, the old country, as we always say. But, you know,
So if a person comes and sees me, there are many, many reasons why. I'll give you another example. Okay, I am here from a country that's very different from our culture. Let's say India, okay?
all right.
And I've now been here for 5, 6 years. I've had my green card. I became a citizen, and I applied for my parents.
And, okay.
All right?
All right.
And my parents...
And you have children that were born in the United States, an American
Absolutely.
citizen. Okay.
My life is here.
Yeah.
And my parents said they wanted to come and live here with me. They're getting older. I don't want them to, you know, just be abroad without me. So, but when those parents come to New England,
Right.
and they have 6 months of their life where basically they're not going to be seeing too many people during the day. They're
Right.
going to be shut in the home, probably not doing much while the children are they're
Going to school or
working, school, all those things. Very different life from what they're used to, living in a village where you walk out the door and everybody's there. And you and I know this. I mean, the Azores is kind of the same way to an extent, and so on. It's a different thing. So those parents may actually at some point decide, we just can't do this, and we're going to live, we want to live a certain number of months always in our home country.
okay.
Sometimes that happens.
What happens when they come and they get a permanent card and they're elderly? Who takes care of them in the medical field?
No, they don't get access to all the benefits
They,
of this
they
country.
don't get access to SSI or
No.
anything like that?
No, those were the old days. That's been
Okay.
gone for a very long time.
Is that right? Okay.
There is no automatic access to SSI.
Okay.
Or Social Security benefits unless you qualify because you worked in your own country and
see.
you're part of a system that the United States is involved in nationwide,
Oh, I see.
worldwide,
I see.
in order to get those benefits here. No, you can't just access those things anymore. No.
Okay. I have Maria Santos. She's an immigration lawyer. We're running out of time. I could do another show with her in regards to talk about immigration. I'm sure she wanted to say a lot of things, and I wanted to say anything. I mean, I have 2 minutes. What can you tell people who are applying or what they should do in regards to...
There are different ways to come into the United States, either through family or employment-based immigration, asylees, refugees,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
the
on.
that's the one. The refugees. Explain asylees because there's a special form for that.
Yes, there is.
Believe
There's a
it or
special
not,
form for everything.
even if you come across the Mexican border, you claim asylee, you have to fill out paperwork.
All right, there are different ways to claim asylum
Okay,
and at
explain them.
different times. So if you came in through the border and you were allowed to get a hearing date, eventually you're going to go in front of an asylum judge, a judge in an immigration court. If you came into the United States, maybe as a visitor or as a refugee, like a humanitarian parole type of thing, but then you decided you were going to apply for asylum, you're going to file that form and get in line in front of the asylum judge court in that system. And you have to do it within very defined time periods, like within a year and so on. So you have to not only follow that process to get asylum, then you would adjust your status to change from that protected status to get a green card. So it's not automatically you're just going to get that green card. You're going to have to show your asylum claim.
Can you come back again? I mean,
Sure, anytime that you like. And,
Yeah.
and I'm going to recommend this. Let's get through reconciliation, see what comes out of it.
Okay.
Because there are some immigration provisions in it.
All right.
And we can talk more about that because it affects well over 8 million people.
I could talk over.